Hey everyone, welcome back to Wix Fix. I hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Ryan, and in today's video, I'm going to show you how to create a really cool hover effect with images without code inside of Wix Studio. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So here we are in Wix Studio, and the first thing I want to do is go ahead and grab our section here, and I want to set the height to fit the screen. And basically what that's going to do is it's going to change the height of our section to be the size of our viewport, which is exactly what we want. And then I'm going to go ahead and make our background color black and add 3 images. Now to add 3 images, I'm just going to do quick add image and press Command D on my keyboard a couple times. And now we have 3 images. Now if I go ahead and click on the image, let's go ahead and replace them. I think I want to go for this one right here because I think I found a few different options in this kind of same style, and that might make for a cool effect. Awesome. Okay, so now what I want to do is I actually want to make it so that this image fills our section. Now, what I don't want to do is go ahead and set image as background or stretch it. Because we are not in a container, but we're in this section, what you're going to notice is that the image just becomes the background image, which we don't want. Instead, what we want is to turn on the advanced settings. So I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut, which is Option I. If you don't know the shortcut or you just want to do it manually, you can press the 3 dots here next to the size and turn on advanced settings. But with the advanced settings turned on, we're going to set the width to 100% and the height to 100%. And then we're just going to center it. Just like that. The next thing I want to do is just go ahead and set the image opacity to 70% because we are going to have some text on this section. So if we have a very bright picture here or something like that, then we want to be able to see the black background behind it, which kind of makes the image a little bit darker, right? So it's kind of like a little trick there. But let's go ahead and do that for all 3 of these images here. So again, advanced settings, we'll set the width and the height to 100%. We'll center it and lower the opacity to 70%. And one more time with this one. Perfect. Okay. The next thing I want to do with these 3 images is I actually want to scroll down, and under the adjust panel, I want to set the opacity to 0. Now you might be wondering, why are we changing the opacity to 0? Why didn't we just set this opacity to 0? Well, because we're going to be adding hover effects to our website, what I want to do is I just want to change this opacity from 0 to 100. Another route we could do instead is we could leave this one at 100. However, when we do the animation, we could just turn this one up to 70, right? So that is another option. And in fact, that might actually be a less work option. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. But we do want to set all of these images for the adjust panel to 0. So let's go ahead and do that. But I'm just going to turn the image opacity to 100% for this. Now what we want to do is actually start designing the section itself. So what I want to do is go ahead and add a container. And just like we did with the images, I want this to be 100% width and 100% height and completely center it just like that. Now we are going to remove the opacity of the background color, but before we do that, what I want to do is turn it into an advanced CSS grid and give us 3 columns. Then what I want to do is grab a vertical line, just like that. We'll stick it in the left column over here. And what I want to do is change the color to white. The width of the line will set to 1. I want to align it to the center vertically, and I want to send it over to the right, and we'll just go ahead and stretch it. Now let's go ahead and duplicate this line. We'll unstretch it, and we'll align it vertically to the center and send it to the right and stretch it again. Now let's remove the background color of the section. And if I go ahead and preview it, this is what we're going to see, right? This is exactly what we want. Now I will say, if you don't like the brightness of the line, one thing that you can do is maybe lower the opacity of the line to maybe like 20%. Kind of just depends on the effect that you're kind of going for, which this one kind of looks pretty cool. Great. The next thing we want to do is go ahead and set up our animation triggers. So what I want to do is, let's just start with the middle trigger first. And what I want to do is just add a container. We're going to stretch the container, and Just for now, let's just set the background color to black while we work on it. And what I want to do is add a title. And for this title, we'll make sure it's white text. And I'm just going to call this one image 2. I like to turn on advanced settings for these, and I'll just set it to like 90% width. We'll make sure it's completely centered. We'll also set the text alignment to be in the center, just like that. I think that looks good. Last but not least, let's go ahead and add a paragraph. We'll make it white. We'll align it to the center, just like what we did with the heading text above. We'll set the width to 90%. And I kind of just want to stick this right underneath the image here. Perfect. And we can go ahead and stack these together if you want. I want to do with this now is actually scroll all the way down to the bottom and turn the opacity under the adjust panel to 0. Perfect. Now that we have this set, what I want to do is remove the background color, just like that. And then what I want to do, so this is our container with our content. So I'm going to say to content. And then for this image here, let's say to image. Okay. What I want to do is set up a interaction that when someone hovers over this container, that the image 2 shows and the paragraph shows. So let's go ahead and do that really quickly. We'll go into animation, hover. We're going to create a custom, and we'll create a new custom one just like that. First, let's go ahead and start with the paragraph one. Of course, what we want to do is set the opacity to 100%. Also, it might be kind of cool if we actually switch over to the initial state pre-animation. If we go ahead and set the Y value to like 20 pixels or something like that, that means when the animation starts, it kind of like fades in a little bit from the bottom, and it might look pretty cool. So now that we're done with this animation, what I want to do is just go ahead and change the name of it. So we'll rename it to show paragraph. Perfect. But now let's go ahead and add another hover interaction. So what I want to do is go back to the animation and effects. We'll add another hover animation. And what I want to do is choose a different element on the page. So what we're going to do is select image 2, custom, and we'll go ahead and create a new one. And all I want to do with this is go ahead and set the image opacity to 70%, just like that. And we'll go ahead and press done. And we'll rename this to show image. Okay, so now if we go ahead and preview the website, this should be our section. But as soon as we hover over image 2, this is the effect that we get. So now that we have this done, what we want to do is let's go ahead and duplicate image 2. Let's send this one over here to the right. We can unstretch and restretch. We can change the content to say image 3. We'll also make sure that we change the names of things here in the layer panel. Okay, and now let's go ahead and check the animation. So with show paragraph, it does it on itself, perfect. But now we need to go ahead and create a new one where it shows image 3. So once again, we'll grab image 3, we'll create a custom animation, and we'll set the opacity to 70%. And we'll just go ahead and press done. And of course, we'll rename this one to say show image. Last but not least, let's go ahead and duplicate this image 2 one more time. We'll send it over here to the left box, unstretch, then restretch. We'll change this to say image 1. We'll change the layer to say 1 content, and we'll bring it up above image 2. We can even rename the image so it says 1 image, just so everything's more uniform. But let's go ahead and grab this box, and we'll add our hover animation to image 1. All we're going to do is create a custom animation and set the opacity to 70%, and we'll just rename this to show image. So now if we go ahead and preview the website, we now see the 3 boxes with image 1, image 2, and image 3. But as I start hovering over them, this is kind of the effect that we're getting. And it looks really, really cool. But that's basically going to wrap it up for today's video. If you all did enjoy, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel for more Wix Studio content coming out really soon. Thank you all again, and I will see you all in the next one.